It's really learning how to coach people and ask the right questions and then be able to navigate them to their own breakthroughs. You're not able to experience anything that you're not an energetic match for. Where in my past am I holding on to pain and trauma and stories and mistakes? Most coaches put on a mask because they're trying to be somebody that they're not.
How do you start getting that message out there to a wide enough audience?
I'm not a huge fan of cold DM outreach, but I think in the beginning, it's necessary. The best thing that you can do for an onboarding, in my opinion, is not try to prove yourself to the client, but try to get them to prove themselves to you. What drove like the highest client success? Fuck, you're right. I can't even challenge you because I'm not even willing to put that much into myself.
Hey, can I ask a little favor? If you've gotten any value out of the Coach Kettles podcast, if you've enjoyed the guests that we've had on, the simple and free way to show that support is to hit that subscribe button. And my commitment to you is to go out and find the best coaches, do the best interviews, pull out the tips, the tricks, so that you can create the coaching business of your dreams. So if you want mine, hit that subscribe button. That allows us to continue doing what we do. Have a great day. What is up, my friend? Welcome to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. We are in season 4, and I'm your host, Trevor Wittwer. On today's episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Nick Komodina, who is a conscious business and leadership coach. He helps coaches. And if you want to figure out the first part, you're going to have to listen to this episode. We had an incredible conversation. We started by talking about his journey to building a multi-7-figure business, which he ended up burning down because he built it for all the wrong reasons. And then he built the business he needed to build after he went deep and did the work. And he helps other coaches do the same. We went deep in his journey in building his first fitness business because, I wasn't going to let him get away there. And then we also talk a lot about what he's seeing coaches doing now. We talked about client journeys. We talked about building culture. This is an incredible episode. If you're a coach, you're going to get a ton of nuggets to help you build the business of your dreams. So I hope you enjoyed this episode with Nick Komodina. Nick, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast.
Thanks for having me, Trev.
Man, super excited to have you here. We had you out at the summit, which, depending on when someone's listening to this, it was August of 2024. And you actually brought it home for us. You are a closer, and you killed it like Mariano Rivera back in the day. And it was awesome. It was awesome listening to you. I'd never heard you speak before. And so it was awesome to hear part of your story and how you're kind of approaching business, maybe a little bit differently than other people are looking at this. And so part of this podcast is really getting the story behind. And so I think with any good story, it's good to start at the beginning. And so how did you even get into this, like the world of health and fitness?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I'm actually not in the world of health and fitness anymore. But that was where I started everything. Mm-hmm. So I wish I had this awesome story for why I started working out, but realistically, I was 6 feet tall, 144 pounds my senior year of high school, and I wanted girls. This is all there is to it. And I fell in love with it. I got my personal training cert, and I was like the original DM outreach person on Instagram. I would just spend my days at the Boys and Girls Club going through Instagram, messaging people, hey, I'll write you a workout and a nutrition plan for $25. And I was just hundreds a day, and nobody would buy from me. And I was like, are you kidding? What's going on? And long story short, it led me to working at a gym. And the owner was awful. I mean, he was without a doubt the most abusive leader I've ever seen, ever worked under. All of his staff feared him, and that was kind of how he ran his business. It was very fear driven. And some of the other coaches and trainers and I started talking, and we wanted to go somewhere else. And he found out, and so he fired us all via group text at like 10:30 on a Sunday. And every single one of the coaches and every single one of our clients all looked at me and said, Nick, what do we do? And so I kind of got like forced into a leader role, forced into the entrepreneur role. I didn't ask for it. I definitely didn't want to do it. But I looked at all these people and I said, okay, I gotta open up a gym. There's no other option. And so got an investor, ended up opening a gym, and he invested $20,000. He said, can you make a gym out of $20,000? In my head, I was like, no, but I said yes. And I did what I had to do. I got all the equipment delivered curbside. I did all the installation. I built it, like just the worst thing you could possibly do, but it saved money. And I ran that for about 3.5 years. And I ended up going to a fitness expo, and I started talking to all these other online coaches and started seeing what was really possible for me. And 2 of the people there asked me if I would coach them for a bikini competition online. And I was like, I don't really know what you mean. How would I coach you online? I do everything in person. And they're like, well, just give us the workouts, tell us what to eat, and we'll do the rest. And I was like, I mean, okay, as long as you realize I've never done it before. And those 2, within their first year working with me, my online business had exploded because they got amazing results. And one of them, her name was Des, ended up getting her IFBB Pro card our first season together. So here I am, this brand new face in the online coaching space who just put a pro on, got a pro card his first run, and now there's all this pressure on me. Mm-hmm. And so during that time, my business just started scaling really fast because of the relationship I had with my clients. People wanted that. And when I tell you, I looked up and I had a multi-million-dollar fitness coaching business, supplement company, clothing company, a mentorship company. And I don't know how I got there. It was so quick. I had really lost myself in the pursuit of money, though. There was an intrinsic part of me that was building my business in a way to try to prove to the world that I was worthy, to prove to myself that I mattered. And I found myself in multiple toxic relationships, but one of them was really toxic and near the end of it. And we moved to Houston together, and there was a lot of infidelity involved on both sides. And I had just really created this whole life in the fitness industry through my company, just trying to prove to myself that I mattered. And I eventually fucked the whole thing up, walked away from all of it, and started my actual healing journey. And well, that kind of led me down the path of where I am today with the business and leadership development side of things.
Well, let's unpack that first off. Like, where did you meet these 2 girls? Like, was it just like you met them in like the lobby or like the bar or like?
So I went out to the Arnold Fit Expo, and I was in an Airbnb with a bunch of influencers, and they were two of the people that were staying in the Airbnb.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But you didn't know them. It was just like a bunch of people getting together for this.
Yeah. I only knew my friend Lexi, and she said, come on, you got to go. That was it. And so, yeah. I was really knowledgeable in regards to training, and I was really passionate for it, and they saw that and they just wanted more of it. And it was really that simple.
That's awesome. And so as you were building the business, like how were you building it? Was it one-to-one coaching? Was it group coaching? Tell me a little bit more about like the details of it.
Yeah. So they started getting progress, and then I just started having people DM me on Instagram saying, do you offer, or how much do you charge for one-on-one coaching? And I'm like, I don't know. $150. Like, I'll do it for $150. And it was all one-on-one clients, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had no system. I was doing check-ins via text message. And eventually I had this decision to say, do I leave the gym and go all in, or do I try to do both? And I closed the gym and I went all in on my one-on-one coaching. And I just took off. When I walked away from the gym, I basically walked away from all my in-person clients. Mm-hmm. And so in the span of a week, my income went down about 70%, and my living expenses doubled because I moved out of my small town and I went to downtown San Diego. And so I really just looked at myself, and I have 2 months to make this work, or I'm homeless. That's it. So I really need to pour into these people that are in front of me. And then just another person would sign up, and another person would sign up, and another person would sign up. And I just kept running with that.
And was this fairly organic? I mean, was it just like
Everything
people
was
telling
organic.
their friends and then, that's just basically a referral mechanism?
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 13 years and I've never paid for a single ad until my team started running a follower ad a month and a half ago.
Okay.
Everything's always been organic, inbound, result driven. Yeah.
And were you posting online? Were you posting on Instagram and like talking about the success of your clients and that kind of stuff?
Yep. I was omnipresent. I was very convicted. I was a pompous asshole for sure. But I had so much passion for what I was doing, and I had an ego. Like I knew I was fucking good, and a lot of people will hate you for that, but a lot of people also can see that and say, "I want to win."
Right.
And I said, "Cool, then I'm your guy."
So did you? I mean, as you were getting a larger and larger business, did you just take on more work, or did you end up like hiring and trying to bring in some systems to be able to handle this?
So I never did any systems. Everything, and my entire business at that time was held together by duct tape and super glue. I swear to God.
Right.
But I hired my first assistant coach. She was one of my clients, and she was a teacher and really wanted to get out of it. She was really smart, and I said, "Come on board." And it was really hard for me to trust people. But her name was Chelsea Stewart. Best thing that I ever did for myself. And she really healed a part of me to trust people inside of my business. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they convince themselves that they're the best and that nobody's going to want to work with anybody with them. And that was my whole story. I had an inbox 300 plus leads deep of people who had filled out applications to coach with me. And I would sit on them. I wouldn't reach out to them. I wouldn't try to convert them. And I had this, it's like, I look at that now and I want to throw up, just how much money I was sitting on. But as I hired her, then it's like her roster filled up. And then we hired another coach and their roster filled up. And then another coach and then another coach and then a sales rep and then an assistant. And then it just kept growing and kept growing. And we just had this massive community that we had built over the span of, 2 years.
Was it like was there a specific niche or kind of a group that you especially attracted, or was it kind of a little bit of everything?
So I was dominantly as a competitor coach. Okay. So it was bikini, men's physique, bodybuilding, stuff like that. We had a lot of lifestyle clients, but the thing that I always did was I was always so big on leadership development. I was always so big on the spiritual component. I was really big on helping all my clients see that they were already winners regardless if they had a trophy or not. And so that was really the whole backbone of my business. Was I was actually using fitness as a vehicle to give myself an excuse to deliver personal development and leadership development to my clients. And that was like my edge. And I was really one of the first, if not the first, bodybuilding coach that was integrating spirituality and leadership development inside of their, like we were going on spiritual retreats to Sedona with our entire team, stuff like that. And the industry, anytime you go into an industry and you start doing things differently, you get hated. And so everybody wanted to talk shit. Everybody was saying how I was, not a good prep coach, and I had to make up for that by doing all of these things. And really, at the end of the day, people came to me because they wanted to be better.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is that
the accountability off the back of that
is simplicity.
The support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my clients.
It's the drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, condition, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all of these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
So
That was my niche.
How did you integrate? I mean, you talked one component of potentially going on retreats, but how did you integrate that spiritual component? Because I know there's probably a lot of coaches that are listening to this that are like, hey, like I know I talk nutrition and fitness with my clients, but there are other things that we need to go deeper on.
Yeah.
So how did you integrate that into your coaching?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? You know, and I think we look at kind of what I spoke about at the event is there's this massive evolution happening right now. And it used to be, I'm a fitness coach. And now everybody goes, well, I'm a fitness coach, but I also do mindset because mindset's important. And so it becomes this like tool that we use to gain status in the market. And people don't really know what that means. Like I help people with mindset. What does that mean? I help them with spirituality. Okay, but what does that mean? And they say, well, I send my clients meditations and I give them journal prompts. And it's like, okay, well, what do you actually do to help them see their own shortcomings? How do you help them unpack trauma? How do you help them see that they're living a lie? Or even how do you help a competitor see that the only reason they're competing is because they think that if they win a trophy, they'll finally be worth something? And that's really this whole massive spiritual component of self is really unlearning all of the things the world has conditioned you to believe. All the things that the world has taught you that are incongruent with what your soul actually needs. And you look at fear for an example. Fear is taught. You don't come into this world feeling afraid. You don't come into this world feeling like you're unworthy. You don't come into this world doubting yourself. Those are things the world teaches you. So how do we unpack that? How do we help people unlearn and recondition them back to their natural state, which is love, which is abundance, which is powerful, which is certainty? And that's a multifaceted answer.
So the next question is, how do you do that, right? Is that something that you feel like innately, like you just are able to navigate this? Or is it through training, or is it through trial and error?
I don't necessarily think we should do trial and error when it comes to people's mental state. That's a little tough. I'm very decorated. I'm always a student. I have become very accredited in neurolinguistics, human behavior, spiritual evolution, trauma work. I mean, subconscious mastery, breath work. There's so many things that go into this. There's somatic healing, there is hypnosis, there is subconscious rewiring, there's the language of the subconscious. And so it's really learning how to coach people and ask the right questions and then be able to navigate them to their own breakthroughs. So if we look at surface level fitness coaching, for an example, and objectively, the fitness industry is an extremely surface level industry. It's how you look is how awesome you are. Super surface level, very 3D. So if we can take somebody and we can say, hey, you binge ate this weekend. All right, get back on track. Don't do that. If you really want the trophy, you'll fucking make it work. That's kind of, the conversation versus, okay, cool. Why don't we just stop for a second? And what were you doing before that binge eating happened? Well, I was stuck in traffic. Okay. Do you typically binge eat after you get stuck in traffic? Well, no. Okay. What else happened? Well, this guy cut me off. Okay. Then what happened? Well, then I called my boyfriend and he didn't answer. Okay. And then you went home and binge ate. Yes. Okay. So you tried to call your boyfriend. He didn't answer. And that made you feel what? Well, it made me feel abandoned. It made me feel like he wasn't there for me. Okay. And that made you go eat? Yeah, I think so. Okay, cool. Can you tell me, what do you think? Where's the first time in your life where you felt a male presence not be there for you or care about you and you went and started eating to numb that? Oh, holy crap. I just got this memory of me when I was 5 with my father. Got it. Now I've got the root. Now we understand the entire cycle. And that really is, to me, that's the work. That's the work to really understand why we do the things that we do, why we're conditioned, how we're conditioned. And once I have that full timeline and that story, now we can start putting new things in place to reprogram the person to do the things that they want to do and create the life they want to create.
So if a coach wanted to go down this route of learning more about this, are there any good resources or places where someone could start kind of exploring this kind of work?
Sure. You alley-ooped me on that. That's exactly what I do in my program.
There you go.
So, yes, I'm a business coach. I'm a leadership coach, but I'm also a coach for coaches. I'm a mentor.
Yeah.
And so we've created the conscious coaching method that has kind of integrated all of the things that I've learned to teach people how to coach, how to deliver breakthrough for clients, how to hold space for them, and how to start to navigate and observe when somebody's traumas are coming up in different ways. So you can go onto udemy.com, UDEMY. It's an amazing website. There are thousands of certification courses that are accredited on there. You could have a trauma cert, you could have a neurolinguistics programming cert, you could have a somatic therapy cert, you could have a human behavior cert, and it would probably cost you $120 for all 4 of those. So we're at this day and age now, Trev, where you can go buy 20 years worth of schooling for $100. And people still think that in order to help people, you have to go to a 4-year university and get into so much debt you can't even see straight. It's all there. People just have to go do it.
Okay, now this is what I've been asking for. Listen, when you're a thick, fit girl like me who loves to eat and lift, the scale isn't always your friend at tracking your progress. And that's why I'm so excited to tell you about the Zozo Fit app. This is the part I love. Right from your smartphone, it takes a 3D scan of your body, then delivers you a 360 view of your body with all of the measurements and body fat percentage. How easy is that? You can also use the calorimetric comparison feature to track your different scans over time. Now, this is a great way of tracking your progress and creating a workout plan that addresses your goals.
I love that. And even you look at the access to information that we have, even just YouTube, right? Yep. There's lots of smart people sharing great information for free. And even great universities sharing information for free. You just have to, it takes effort, right? There's no one telling me to show up and class starts at 9 and then turn your homework in by the next day. And so there has to be an intrinsic drive to go do it because there's no external pressure to do it. Whether you do it or not, the world doesn't care, right? It's all on you to execute. So as you're building, right, this business, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? There's more and more people involved. When was the turning point where you're like, hey, I don't like the direction that this is going?
I don't think it was that I don't like the direction that this is going. I think it was I was chasing the wrong thing. And the fitness business unfortunately ended up getting caught in the crossfire. Because what I had originally started because I had an amazing passion and love for it, got lost because I found myself in toxic relationships and thought that the more money I made would make them love me. And so this business became my tool to show my partner or the world that I was worth loving. And my business now, instead of a vehicle for me to serve the world, became a monument that I built for myself for people to praise me for what I had done. And so I had lost the real reason and the why behind it. So my business was no longer freedom, it was a prison. So this relationship I was in, it ended up coming to an end. And really, I didn't know who I was anymore without this life I had built for myself. And I found myself in the backyard at 3 a.m. with a gun, and I put the gun barrel to my head. And I went to pull the trigger, and I heard a voice behind me saying no. And it scared me, jumped me awake, and I turned around and nobody was there. And it startled me, and it kind of like broke me out of that. And I went back to sleep. And after that, I went back to San Diego I moved back to San Diego. And for 4 months, I told myself, okay, I'm just going to sit. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to try to save my business. I'm just going to figure out why the fuck all this keeps happening to me. And that was when I really started doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's these curious why questions you have to ask yourself, and you have to take full ownership. Why was I just in a relationship where she was cheating on me with my best friend? Why was it happening? Why did everybody close to me abandon me or betray me? Well, it's not them, it's me. Where am I betraying myself in my own personal life? And how are these people mirroring that back to me? And so when we can shift those questions, you're not able to experience anything that you're not an energetic match for. So if I'm experiencing a life like that, that's because I'm the person who is attracting that life to me. Why? What about me is that? Where in my past am I holding on to pain and trauma and stories and mistakes and using the external world to punish me and reinforce that story? That is when everything shifted for me inside of that business. That's when I started recognizing, holy crap, this isn't the business that I should be pursuing anymore. I've done it out of a space of hate.
And then from there, you had some realization that this isn't what I want to do anymore, or I need to shut this down. Was it just like, okay, go in, everybody, we're closing the doors in a month, or was there like an off ramp?
So there was like a lot of heat at this time, just because we had a social media presence together, me and my partner. And so there was just a lot of heat coming out with the breakup. And I looked at all my coaches and I just kind of was like, hey, if you guys want to go and take your clients, then go for it. And I just kind of let a lot of the clients that wanted to leave. And I really I just let it all crumble for 4 months. I said, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Whatever damage is being caused right now, this is a byproduct of decisions and choices that I've made over the last X amount of years. I'm going to let the ruins fall where they will, and then I'll rebuild. And during this time, I had to realize that business, I was using fitness as an excuse to coach what I actually wanted to coach, because I had created a identity for myself as a fitness coach. I was Nick the trainer, and I didn't know if I was valuable to the world if I wasn't Nick the trainer. So I kept evolving and coaching my fitness clients differently. And that was what I was super pumped and excited about, making my coaching so different. And the fitness aspect just started exciting me less and less. But I felt that I couldn't be valuable or make a living or change the world if I wasn't using fitness as the vehicle to do that. And then once I realized, oh shit, I'm actually really good at this, and I'm just using fitness as an excuse, I got to fucking trust myself. That's what I did.
So how did you start the next piece? So was it, and you probably had a level of influence, right? People knew you'd been doing some mentoring of other coaches, that kind of stuff. Was it just like, hey, here's the direction I'm going. I'd love to start something. If you want to come along, let's do this.
Well, those 4 months were really hard. And I keep going back to those because people don't understand how crucial sitting with yourself and not thinking about the next step is when it comes to letting your past catch up so you can actually fucking deal with it and unpack it and process it. And as you begin to heal, the veil starts to kind of lift over your eyes and you start to see the world a little bit differently. You start to see how you can serve people a little bit differently. You start to see past the superficial need for money for survival and trying to prove yourself to the world based on your accomplishments. And you say, well, how can I really be of service, and who can I really be of service to? And so that was when that kind of next light bulb moment came off. And I said, well, if I'm coaching a lot of fitness coaches right now who want to work with me for fitness, but they come to me because they want to learn how to build what I've built, well, then why don't I just mentor fitness coaches? And why don't I make sure that the coaches that I work with build their business in a way that's not the way I just built mine, so they don't have to build it, lose it, then heal and build it back again? Can I help them heal while building the business at the same time? And that's where I really started seeing this whole spiritual integration into business aspect of business. And so I put on my stories and I said, hey, it's on my Instagram. I said, hey, and like this to me is where most fitness coaches are off is they stay surface level with what they tell their audience they're offering. It's fitness coach, let me help you lose 10 pounds and all that. That's great, but people really want to get bought into a place they know your heart is. So I went on my Instagram and I told everybody what the fuck had been going on. This is what's been going on. This is what I've been doing. This has been my healing journey. And I feel like what's next for me is to take on some coaches who want one-on-one mentorship with me to do the work I just did, to heal, build their business and grow, et cetera. And here's what it looks like. If you're interested, DM me. And I was in like a really weird angel number thing back then. And so I was charging $1,111 a month, $1,111 a month for my mentorship. And I signed 28 people into my mentorship the first month. And so in 1 month, I had generated a $30,000 business, a month business organically. And the reason I was able to do that, Trevor, is because I had finally healed, gotten into my truth and really opened that heart and just articulated it. No filter, not trying to say the right thing for social media, just a universal truth making its way through me to whoever needed it. That's wealth for me.
I love that. You mentioned something that I think would be valuable to unpack a little bit about this idea of how fitness professionals are maybe staying surface level with their message. So how do you go about coaching someone and coming up with what the deeper message is on how they help people?
Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. So what we're talking about here really to me is brand. Okay. Brand. And when I work with people, I build visionaries. I'm a big visionary brand type person. I think very macro with things. And so when we get somebody in and it's like, who do you want to work with? And they say, well, I'll work with anyone. You're like, okay, right. That's not, you're not going to help anyone. You have no message. Okay. Well, I work with women. Okay. Well, what type of woman? Women that can pay me. Totally. And so we kind of get deeper and deeper. And I think a lot of times you hear the same thing of, oh, your ideal client is who you used to be. And I don't know if I actually agree with that, because my ideal client isn't somebody I used to be. I've never personally struggled with business. I've never struggled with business. I've always nailed it. I've always been able to build a very successful business. But those are the people that I help now. So I get them a little bit more fine-tuned. Who is this person that just lights your heart up to serve? And let's just say it's single moms of two. Okay, great. Why is that important to you? Well, because my mom was a single mom of two. Okay, got it. So a single mom of two comes into your fitness coaching program and she loses 10 pounds. Then what? I don't know. Right. So what we do is we sell people on a surface level thing. And then once they achieve that surface level thing in the program, there's no room for them to grow anymore. There's nothing left for them in your program. You future pace them with those pounds. But if you can create a new identity for the people when they join your program, this is where they gain a sense of status when they join your program, and they actually lose that status if they leave your program. So I work with coaches. When they sign up for my program, they become conscious leaders. And a conscious leader is a different identity. It's a different football helmet they put on. You look at, we use the superhero ideology, right? Bruce Wayne and Batman, Clark Kent and Superman, Peter Parker and Spider-Man. People think that they put on the mask to be the superhero and then they're all powerful. But those characters, they actually put on the mask to be who they really are. They put on the mask to not have any filter on who they are. They can be fully themselves. Most coaches put on a mask because they're trying to be somebody that they're not. And that's why they're screwed up, because you're not powerful if you're being somebody else. You can't create a surface level, you can't create this macro offer if you're being a surface level version of yourself. So we have to get depthful in ourselves. We have to heal. We have to get deeper than surface level for us and figure out our why outside of our own survival. Most people are coaching just to put money in the bank. Then what? Right? It's just like the mom who comes in and loses 10 pounds. Somebody says, I want to be a coach. I want to make $10,000 a month. I get this all the time in my program, dude. New coaches, I want to make $10,000 a month. Cool. They'll hit it in like 6 months. And what happens after the 6-month mark? They're disinterested. program doesn't really feel, they're kind of bored now because they hit the surface level thing. And there's nothing that they've seen to go past that. So identity is huge. It's everything. If that single mom comes in and works with you, what does that single mom become now? She has to say, I am this now. And it becomes a whole identity shift for her. It becomes the superhero cape that she puts on. And that's the whole transformation that we're giving them. So these single moms become, bad bitches, just for an example, because I'm not good with mom lingo, right? You're not a single mom, you're a bad bitch. Bad bitches, we do this, we do that, we do this, and we create legacies for our kids to follow. And so we become the women that we want our children to be or our daughters to be. We become this. So now when the mom joins your program, once she loses the 10 pounds, you're like, that's amazing, Amy. Now let's focus on getting those other 10 off, and let's focus on this and this aspect so that you continue to show your kids what it means to not give up on yourself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I'd recommend this to any coaches or even clinicians out there that are looking to build a business around a product that they already really believe in.
As a brand new user, just being sold on the streamline of being able to put everything in a centralized location, anyone that is just fumbling with Google Sheets to Facebook messages, group messaging, text messaging.
For anybody that wants to be able to coach their clients, many times you use different tools and resources, and when you're trying to manage that, even on a Google Sheet or on regular technology, you're limited on duplicating the data over and over.
I think if I'm going to, recommend the app for anyone, it's me myself. If I want to take my business to the next level, so definitely looking to do that in the near future here. Everybody can really benefit from it. I use it in the rehab sphere, but I also utilize it in the training thing. You can do the same thing with nutrition, right? There's so many uses for it.
For everybody, coaches, clinicians, anyone that kind of works in the industry, chiros, PTs, trainers.
This is one simple solution that we can create to all of our users and all our clients.
So if you want to create a way to systematize your business so you can scale, I have not seen a better product for that.
And do you feel like in that messaging, do you feel like that messaging needs to be there from the start? So the person signing up kind of sees it. It's not necessarily we're selling them the first 10 pounds and then helping them transform into that next level.
Yeah, you future pace people always. You are always setting the tone and the expectations for your community. So if I don't properly frame my program for somebody before they get into it, they're going to frame it for themselves based on their ideologies. So I'm going to set up there. Then there's expectations that don't get met and people get upset. So I'm really big on onboarding. I'm really big on a customer experience. I'm really big on client roadmaps. I'm really big on journeys. And that's what scales. Culture scales. And we can't have a culture unless we have a journey that everybody's walking on together. So a path. There's going to be only one path, but there's going to be endless different journeys that people go on inside of that path. So if the end goal is the identity, now somebody could come in who needs to lose 50 pounds. Somebody can come in who's underweight. Somebody can come in who just had kids, because they all want the same path. They all want to have that identity. There's just a different journey they're each on to get there. So if you want to really target somebody to get into your program, we first have to understand the identity they currently have for themselves. And identity has to come after the words, I am. So we say, women who work a lot. Does that person identify, do they look at themselves in the mirror and say, I am a woman that works a lot? Probably not. So we have to get deeper and we have to get the identity they currently say about themselves. They could say, I'm an overweight mom. That sounds like something a mom would say, like, I'm just an overweight mom. Cool. I help overweight moms become blank by this. So she's going to say, holy shit, that's the identity I say to myself every day. That is literally me. So for me, for example, I work with coaches. So when you look at people who say, I want to work with men and women, well, men and women isn't a niche. Find an identity that a man and woman shares, and that'll work. So a coach, I work with coaches, very specific, but both men and women are coaches. I don't have gender ranges. I don't have age ranges. If you are a coach, I'm your guy. And I turn you into a conscious leader. And that's somebody who creates a spiritually conscious business with a massive visionary brand that actually serves the world. So there's a bigger thing than just 10K months, 50K months, 100K months. It's No. This is a legacy that we're building for you that's going to change the world in the way that you feel is necessary.
So what's your opinion on niching then? Because there will be some people that are like, hey, you need to get like super, super, super narrow. Other people are kind of like, well, it really doesn't matter. You kind of just need to ballpark it from what you've seen in coaches being successful. And let's talk specifically to the online space, because I think that pool is much bigger. So tell me a little bit about how you would kind of think about or coach someone through like that aspect, how deep they need to go.
I think you do need to go deep, but I think this is such a multi-layered answer. I literally have like 3 hours of modules on this when people start with me because it's so depthful. Is when we start to say something like you need to get really specific on who you're talking to, what happens is people's ego will take that as an excuse to overwhelm them and not move forward in the business. Because they'll just sit here and they'll beat themselves up. I don't know if that's the specific person I want to work with or not. What if it changes over time and then they don't make any forward movement? So I'm all about removing resistance to build momentum. And then as we get the ball rolling, as we have some speed, now we can easily turn the wheels and move in how we need to. So I'll tell somebody when they're first starting, I'm like, look, here's the thing. Offer the end goal for whoever wants it. Hey, I'll help you lose 10 pounds in 60 days. That's cool. Get a few surface level people. You're going to get some shitty fucking clients doing this for sure. You're going to get the headaches. And especially, I usually tell people, work with your first 5 clients for free. Don't even charge. Get the results, get the reps, get the experience, get a testimonial. One of those clients is going to be great. The other 4 are going to be awful and make you feel like you never want to coach ever again in your life. But that's the process. That's the process. So offer a specific end goal first. I'll help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days or your money back. I'll help you lose 20 pounds in 60 days, whatever it is. And just get a few people. Then start making content for the person you want to help. If you want to help moms, figure out what the moms are. And here's the thing, they go, oh, what are they struggling with? What's their day-to-day stuff? That's amazing. I want you to tell me what that mom thinks inside of her head that she's never said out loud because she's embarrassed. Is that mom secretly resenting her kids that she loves so much because she doesn't have time for herself anymore? When she looks in the mirror and sees her stomach hanging over her pants, does she feel resentment towards her children? And she would never speak that out loud because that's awful if you feel that about your kids. But she's still a human and she for sure blames them. Because of them, she's out of shape. She doesn't have time for herself. If you can say that in your content, you will literally shake somebody so much to their core that they have no choice but to reach out to you. That's the level of specificity that I like from my clients.
So how do you start, let's say you're a new coach and maybe don't have much of a following, how do you start getting that message out there to a wide enough audience? Or do you have any other strategies that you help coaches with to get those first 5-10 clients?
Yeah, this is where I'm not a huge fan of cold DM outreach, but I think in the beginning it's necessary. So I think once you have your first 5 clients, everything else needs to be done by social presence, results, and your energy behind what you're talking about. Let's look at it like, Trevor, who's your favorite band? Favorite band of all time? Like you will die to see them.
Oh my goodness, man. I'm not a music guy, so I'm just going to pick.
This is going to be an awful example then.
I'll just pick like a note, like U2.
Okay. That's an awful choice.
Feed me something. You want like AC/DC? Well, like what genre do we want here?
Let's say AC/DC. Okay, yeah. Let's say for sake of conversation, Trevor is a diehard AC/DC fan.
Yeah, I'm a rocker.
His whole wardrobe is AC/DC. His bed sheets, everything. And AC/DC's coming to Austin, and he flies in, and you call me because you have an extra ticket, and you're like, Nick, dude, I have an extra ticket to AC/DC. It's literally a $700 ticket. You have to come. And I'm like, AC/DC, dude, really? Like, I don't know if I really want to do that. You're like, dude, you're so bought into the experience of AC/DC that you literally won't take no for an answer from me. And you're like, dude, I promise you, if you come to this, it's going to change your life. You have no idea how valuable this ticket is. Dude, just trust me. If you don't like it after 30 minutes, we can leave. I promise you it's going to change your life. And I'd be like, all right, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
So that same conviction for the experience there is the same conviction we have to have for the experience people are going to get inside of our coaching program. So when you're brand new, but you're like, I fucking know I could help you lose 10 pounds in 60 days. And they're like, I don't know, I'm busy. You're like, that's perfect because I'm not even charging you. And I'm going to help you lose weight while you're busy. So you never have to worry about how to lose weight again. Like, do you see what I'm saying? This is going to change your life forever when I'm about to teach you. And I'm doing it for free. You're insane to not take this offer. That's the energy that you need.
As a coach that runs challenges, I needed my life back. I had stuff all over the place. A Facebook group for community interaction, Google Sheets for check-ins and measurements, and was drowning in email communication. As my challenges grew past just a handful of people, I started to notice clients were falling through the cracks. I began researching virtual assistants because I just couldn't manage it all. And truthfully, the client experience was going down the drain. Luckily, a friend recommended Coach Catalyst and just told me to trust her. I'm sure glad I did. Now I can run my challenges with 2 or 200 clients with just a few clicks. The lessons get delivered on the right days, the accountability happens automatically, and most importantly, the communication is all in one spot. I even created 2 new challenges from the Coach Catalyst library. Best part, didn't have to change a thing. I used to spend 15 minutes just trying to log into all the apps I needed. Now I log in and my dashboard tells me who needs a shout out and who needs a kick in the butt in about 15 seconds. I feel like a huge weight is lifted off of my shoulders. I can finally spend my time coaching again instead of worrying about all the admin work. Do your brain a favor and get Coach Catalyst.
I love that. I love it. Hey, thanks for playing along too and not making me feel like an idiot. I do. I love that. I mean, I think the conviction in a piece of so if we're starting to connect stories here a little bit too, right? When you were really successful early on, there was a conviction that you had that you could help someone be successful, right? Which probably helped you accelerate your growth. With yours as well. And so there was one piece that you mentioned that I want to kind of touch on a little more. You talked about client journey, you talked about onboarding. And so I want to make sure we hit some key points with that, because I think this is a huge area of improvement for a lot of coaches. And so how do you think about structuring, let's call it like an onboarding process, the first 7, 14, 21, 30 days with a new client?
Yeah. Okay. So I have this concept that I teach my students. Actually, you know what? I'll do this, but anybody watching the podcast right now or listening to the podcast, if you guys follow me on Instagram, DM me the word part, and then the letter 2, and I'll send you a video that I did on business that is for my students. That's all about how to structure a brand this way. And so back to this conversation is I look at brand as a home, a house. And we have different things. So a brand needs to be built on a foundation of trust. And we have to establish trust first before people even want to go into the walkway of the home. And the walkway of the home, that is your onboarding process. That is the first thing that people walk into your home. So Trevor, let me ask you this. When somebody new walks into your house, what do you tell them to do?
I would greet them and then probably have them take off their shoes.
Bingo. So we'll just use that as the concept. When somebody walks into your home for the first time, you teach them how to respect the home. So you say, hey, take off your shoes. If you need to use the bathroom, use that one down the hall on the left. The door past that's the garage. It's a little packed right now. Just go ahead and stay out of there. And then we'll just stay downstairs. We're not going to go upstairs. Cool? Great. Cool. Nobody does the same thing for their business. We try to put on this customer service voice, and we actually try to over deliver to somebody on onboarding. And then we withdraw our level of attentiveness to them once they get inside of the actual program that they paid for. So I'm all about setting realistic expectations. My expectations are really high for clients when they get into my space. So for coaches, the best thing that you can do for an onboarding, in my opinion, is not try to prove yourself to the client, but try to get them to prove themselves to you. So when people come into my space, and obviously I'm not a fitness coach, but I know what needs to happen for a client to be receptive to grow their business. So when somebody comes into my space, they actually go through a 30-day detox phase. I have them do 14 days of no music with lyrics. I have them do 30 days of no TV. I have them do 7 days of an unfollowing spree. They do 30 days of consistent meditation. And usually if this one's optional, 30 days no sugar, 30 days no caffeine. And the reason I do this is because I know that there's subliminal messages happening all the time for people. So their first 30-day onboarding with me is awful. It's awful. They're like, what the fuck did I just get myself into? But I know what I need to do for them to get them receptive to win. So with your onboarding, I think it's really important to, one, speed is everything. I do not resonate on the idea of like, hey, they'll get step 1 on day 1 and then step 2 on day 2. I'm like, no. I'm giving you all the steps on day 1. You're getting reached out by my client success manager, by me, and by your coach. If you're coming into my program, we're going to get you into the community. You're going to introduce yourself. All my clients are going to say what's up to you. So you're getting 3 to 4 different human touch points right away as soon as possible after we collect your payment. Because the second money leaves somebody's account, there's an instant drop off in their excitement level, and it turns into buyer's remorse. The second somebody pays, I'm like, my team is like a firefighter unit. I'm like, go. And we want to make them feel seen, heard, supported, like they're not a number. Let them know we take care of them, future pace them for the program. So my client success manager, and if you're a single coach, you can do this to yourself or for yourself, you get them on an onboarding call. And on this onboarding call, Zoom call, walk them through your program, show them how to use whatever apps you use, show them how to go through check-in processes, what your parameters are for how to communicate with you, how to engage in the community, what you expect from them, and then future pace them. If you want them with you for 3 years, don't talk in terms of 6 months. Future pace them on the onboarding call. So for us, we have a 3-tier system, year 1, year 2, year 3. So if somebody signs up for year 1, either me or Allie, our client success manager, is like, we're so excited for you to hop on for us for year 1. Here's what year 1 looks like before we get you to year 2. So we already just kind of like let them know, hey, the goal here is for you to get to year 2. And then we give them the second of, hey, you can graduate early. So if you're making $15,000 a month in your business before the year's over, we'll actually graduate you up. So now there's a little bit of a competition for them to perform better. So there's all these little tips and tricks that you can do to really prime somebody for what you expect from them and what you want them to do inside of your space. If you don't frame the program properly for them in the way that you want them to experience it, they'll make themselves at home, so to speak, right? If somebody walked into your home, Trevor, and you said, make yourself at home, and they never take their shoes off, their shoes are on your couch.
Right.
Does that all make sense?
Right. And you can't get mad about it either because you didn't set the expectations, right? They're going to bring whatever their expectations are to that unless it's stated differently.
Yes. And most coaches get really entitled and get really pissed off when clients come in and don't act the way they want them to. They assume people should know how you want them to act. Right. You need to be really specific with people. And if somebody's acting in a way you don't want them to, that's on you. Ownership. Hey, totally my bad. I don't think I explained to you properly how to communicate in these channels. This channel is for this and this channel is for that. Just want to make sure we don't lose your messages moving forward. That's totally my bad. You did nothing wrong. Perfect.
Yeah, I like that. I want the future pacing thing, and I want to tie that into pricing and how someone structures pricing, contracts, all of that kind of stuff. Because for a long time, and we're still seeing this in the industry, like 6 months agreements or 12-month contracts or all of these kind of things. And now we've seen a little bit of a shift to kind of the down payment and simply like a monthly fee or a monthly basically membership or subscription. How do you guys think about pricing with this future pacing? Because if I say it's a 6-month contract, it kind of makes it seem like after 6 months, hey, we're done.
Bingo. Yes. So first things first, I never say contract. I always say agreement. Contract has this like sticky feel to it for some people in their subconscious. My goal is to remove all resistance for getting in the program. And so we're really careful with words. We don't want people to feel any red alarms at all when they're in our space. Right. Hey, we got you. We're on your team. We're here to protect you. We're here to make you be successful. I know it's scary to make this investment, but if you come in, we're going to crush it together. So what we do is all of our programs are a year 1, year 2, year 3. So when we're on the phone call with somebody, we talk about our 3-year roadmap. And so for us, our business is a 3-year roadmap to get somebody to $1 million business in 3 years. So when I'm on the call, I can say it's a 3-year roadmap with a 1-year commitment to start. So they know it's 3 years and they start it 1 year, and we have the graduation that happens. So when let's just say their year one's coming to an end, if we've fulfilled on what we've done, there's no reason they wouldn't go to year 2, right? So we don't talk about a re-sign. We don't talk about extending with us. We talk about graduating to year 2, and we really make that such an incredible experience for them. Holy crap, you crushed it. This was an amazing year for you. You are so ready for year 2. You're so ready. We call year 2 is called Conscious Leader for us. You're so ready for Conscious Leader. You're going to absolutely crush it. Are you excited?
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is.
The Super Coach Summit by Coach Catalyst is room for opportunity.
It's badass.
It's fucking awesome. Over-delivered. They talked about it, and they definitely did it.
It is amazing. It's just been invigorating.
Is exemplary. It's phenomenal, and just a great time with great people. And you feel like in Ohana, you feel like a family.
It's unreal.
It is awesome. What will help separate the 1% from the 99%
is a really well thought out event, well conceived, well planned, and well executed.
It's such an amazing event to be at in order to grow your business and network with other professionals.
It is top tier. It's one of the best I've been to in the business. It's been unbelievable, and I'm just excited to finish out the day here and keep making connections.
It's an event that you will be very happy that you have attended, because next year is going to be even better than this one.
Is freaking badass. If you're not here, you're missing out. See you next year.
How you guys deliver your stuff? Is it a lot of live? Is it a lot of recorded? So I mean, there's applications here for the coach that's doing the fitness coaching or nutrition coaching or health coaching, that kind of stuff. What have you found as like delivery mechanisms to keep the human connection?
Totally. Dude, this is an amazing conversation because I actually did a study on this with 6 companies I was working inside of, mine included. And we all did different touch points for clients to see what drove like the highest client success, the highest attendance on calls, the biggest morale. And we tested 8 touch points a month. So a weekly group support call every week and weekly check-ins with their coach. We tested 6, which was weekly check-ins with their coach and bi-weekly group support calls. And then we tested bi-weekly one-on-one check-ins and bi-weekly support calls. And what we actually found was the bi-weekly check-in and the bi-weekly support call had the highest community engagement, the highest call attendance, and the highest morale from clients. And so my thesis on this is, if you think fitness coaching, for an example, and you're doing check-ins with clients every single week, most coaches feel like people are buying check-ins. That's what most coaches feel their value is. Their value is based on the amount of touch points they have with clients. That's actually not true. Your value is based on the transformation you're providing people. So what we found is that if you say you cut 25 carbs from this client and they expect in their head to drop 2 pounds before check-in, but it's only been 6 days, now when they go into the next check-in and they haven't lost any weight, they have a negative emotion associated with the program and with their progress. And usually a coach is going to get on that check-in and say, everything looks good. Let's just roll it through for 1 more week and see if things change. So now this client starts to internalize like, shit, I did something wrong. Versus if you just remove that second touch point and you give this client's body 2 weeks to respond, now they've probably dropped those 2 pounds and they're fucking pumped to get into their check-in. So we saw that. And then we also saw with weekly check-ins, clients coming up, trying to find things that were wrong because they didn't know what to talk about. So they started searching for problems, or they had nothing to talk about. So they felt that nothing was happening in the program. So the law of subtraction actually has made a lot of our clients' programs more valuable, because the less of you have of something, the more you value it. So what would happen is it would be a one-on-one check-in, a group call, a one-on-one check-in, a group call. So they would check in with their clients and give them something to have done by the next check-in. But then the clients could show up the next week on a group call to still get a weekly touch point, but it was just in a different way. So they still got to have questions answered. And it's just been absolutely crushing it for us. It's been absolutely crushing it for our students.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I think it's awesome that you looked at it from really a scientific way. Because a lot of times we think more is better. We think, if I'm doing a call with a client every single week, I can charge more. But it's really, you hit it on the head, which is it's really about the transformation, or the change that this client's making. That's ultimately what they're paying for. They're not paying for you. If you can have them sit on the couch and watch Netflix and eat potato chips and get their transformation, like they would probably choose that.
Totally. And I was on your side. I was like, oh, the 8 touch points is going to fucking crush it. And the eight touch points was the worst one.
Huh. That's really interesting.
So I was perplexed. I was behooved.
That is really interesting. That's great data though. That's when coaches are thinking about structuring their programs, right? The less is more. It really does apply. What are things that you're seeing young coaches doing early in their careers that it's maybe setting themselves up for failure or making it take longer to reach the things that they want to reach or accomplish their goals? What are things that you're maybe seeing over and over again with younger coaches or coaches that are just getting into the industry where they're kind of holding themselves back?
Manipulation on sales calls is a huge one. And what I mean by this is they don't really vet anybody on the sales call to see if they're actually a good fit or if they're an ideal client. They prioritize credit cards over culture. And so you might get somebody to pay you for that month, but then they're going to drop off. They're going to dispute with their bank. They're going to give you hell and they're going to drain so much energy. So a lot of coaches are too short-sighted. They go, I want money this month. And so this person has a credit card and they booked a call. I'm just going to take the money no matter what. That's not really the energy of wealth. That's the energy of poverty. So that's number one. And number two is being in your really lackadaisical energy and not prioritizing investing in yourself to get help. And I'm huge on energy. I'm huge on universal law. I'm huge on cause and effect, law of attraction, all of that stuff. And so these new coaches come out and they don't think that they're valuable enough to invest in themselves and get a coach. Yet they want everybody else to think that they're invaluable enough to invest in. So when you get on a call and somebody gives you a financial objection and they say, oh, that's a lot of money to invest in a coach, you're like, fuck, you're right. I can't even challenge you because I'm not even willing to put that much into myself.
Right.
So like that, I think those two are the number ones. Like you got to learn how to operate sales from an integrity stance. You have to learn how to operate content from an integrity stance. And then you also kind of have to check your ego and get support because it's so easy for you to go back into the fight or flight, selfish ways of maneuvering and energetically manipulating people so that your needs get met and you just get money.
Yeah. And I think, and that's it. We can talk about it here, right? But when you're that coach that needs the money, I think that's really, really hard to, say, hey, it's just, we're not a good fit. Right. And
yeah, it's impossible.
Try and move to the next one.
Yeah.
There was one thing that you mentioned that I want to touch on before we get into some rapid fire stuff. And this is the idea of culture. So culture is one of the hardest things to create, but once you create it and you get it right, it just makes everything that much easier. And in an offline space, it's a lot, I would say, easier to create culture because people are around each other, right? There's a lot of like interaction that's happening. But when you get into an online space, like I'm a coach that maybe has clients, there's not that same physical touch point. How do you create the culture in like an online virtual setting?
Yeah. And this is arguably one of my greatest strengths in business is culture creation. And what I use the concept of a campfire. Campfire is as old as time, right? And everybody gathers around a campfire. It's warm. But if you look from a tribal stance, right? Everybody around the campfire, everybody's around this centerpiece, but there's 87 different things going on around a fire, right? There's kids playing, there's people singing, there's people dancing, there's people arguing, there's people kissing, there's just all of these different things, but they're all centered around this connection point. So what are the campfires that you have inside of your business? This is where your authenticity really can attract your tribe. So for example, we are super into investing in the crypto space, and we're really involved in the wealth and trust creation space, like operating out of trusts. And so we're big on taxation and stuff like that. And so we have calls every other week or 2 times a month on investing in crypto. And that doesn't really have to do with business coaching, but that's something that we really like. And so people in our community that also really like that have this additional connection point to like hoorah around. We do meditations, we do breath work, we do live events, we do group calls. We have a Slack channel with all these different channels for us to conversate in. And if you don't know where to start to get your community, maybe you don't even have a community chat. Coach Catalyst has that. But in there, do you guys do can you have like different channels in your communities?
You can have different communities. We call them custom communities. So you could have one, it's more of a general one that's maybe, these specific people or this side chat.
Perfect. So what we do is we also have a random one. And if you don't know how to get people involved right now, the greatest tool to bridge communication is humor. So if you go in as and if you want to start a culture and a community and you haven't had one yet, you got to recognize you're probably going to talk to yourself for like 2 to 3 weeks. You'll be the only one posting.
Right.
But we've found that posting things that are funny, there's less of a gap for people to feel like they can connect and leave a comment or laugh or anything like that. So if you have a niche that is moms, go find a bunch of mom meme pages and take screenshots and put them in the chat so all the moms can comment below and say, oh my God, this just happened to me. I have a 4-year-old. And then the other mom goes, oh no way, I have a 4-year-old. Is it a boy or a girl? And now, bam, you've got all these connections being made because they're connecting over humor.
Right.
So culture is about human connection. And if we can create multiple campfires to have multiple people gather around and find community inside of your community, that's when we build culture, and that's when people start to open up a little bit more. They start to trust a little bit more, and then they never want to leave.
I love that. The campfire is such a nice visual that I think anyone can relate to. Man, this has been great, and I want to respect your time. So we're going to get into some rapid fire, just fun questions here, just to bring it home. So the first one, you're a Texas guy, so I'm curious on what the answer is going to be with this. So taco, burrito, or quesadilla?
Damn, that's fucked up. I think I'm going to go burrito.
Burrito, huh? That's not that's not what I've thought you. Why would you go burrito?
Dude, I fucking love burrito. There's nothing like we get Chipotle all the time, and I always get a tortilla on the side, and I just love packing on. I just I like something that's in my hands. Yeah. It makes me feel like I'm eating way more food.
I hear you. I'm a volume guy, so I typically go for burritos while I like volumes of food.
Yes.
All right. Anything that you've purchased recently, or a book that you've read, or a book that's been instrumental in kind of your life that's like less than $100? So it could be a product, could be a physical thing, could be a book.
Yeah. You know what? I'm super big on autosuggestion, which is basically continuously reinforcing stimulus into your subconscious mind to create a new thought pattern. And so one of the things that I do for my students is I actually have them all go onto Amazon and buy prop money and put it all throughout their apartment. So no matter where I go, because I don't notice it anymore, but no matter where I go in my home, my desk, my bathroom, anything, I'm subconsciously retraining myself that I'm always surrounded by money, and it changes my energy. So I think anything that you can plop around that reinforces a life that you want to create for yourself is endlessly valuable.
Well, I mean, really common, right? People use symbols, right? Where if you're, if you believe in Jesus Christ, like a cross and things like that,
absolutely,
like that you put up around to help kind of remind you about things. Question about that though, when you have someone over that's never come over to your place for the first time and they see stuff,
I get questions.
I was going to say,
I get questions.
Well, it opens up an opportunity to explain something, which is kind of cool too.
Yep.
All right, next one. If you are reincarnated as an animal based upon your personality, what animal do you come back as?
Man. I honestly feel like I'd be some sort of cat because I'm just such a little shit. You know what I mean? Like I just love to fuck. I just love to fuck with people. So I feel like I would be some sort of cat, maybe like a panther or something. I don't know.
I like it. A fierce cat, not just a typical house cat.
Not a house cat, a deadly one.
All right. I like it. All right, last one. If you could have dinner with anyone, past or present, who do you break bread with?
The only reason I'm not going to say Jesus is because I feel like everybody says Jesus. I would actually choose Hitler. And the reason that I say Hitler is because from a leadership standpoint, and leadership is empty, right? We're not going to say good or bad. Leadership is just getting people to follow you.
Right.
He is arguably one of the best leaders that ever existed. And so I would just be so curious as how he got people to take on his ideologies and follow him to that depth. I mean, it just fascinates me.
I like that's the first. No one's ever said Hitler, so you get
Nobody
the
ever
award
does.
for no. So also a good talking point. Sweet, man. I love this, and I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate the transparency in what you're doing. Now you're helping kind of lift up this industry. So we need more coaches. We need more coaches. We need more coaches with massive rosters where they can't take on any more clients because there's a lot of people that need help.
Yes.
So if people want to find out more about you, where you're at, tell us kind of where they find you on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the only Nick Komodina that exists. So if you just put my first and last name together, you'll find me on Instagram. I think my YouTube channel is official_Nick Komodina. I have an old one from Nick Komodina from like my fitness days. So if you want to see like a 21-year-old douchebag, you can go to that. But if you want my current one, that's really good practical business advice for you, official_Nick Komodina would be the space. I'm the most active on Instagram and YouTube.
Sweet. I love it. Isn't that just like the beauty of the internet? Like every person we ever were will forever be in time.
I know. And I love it. You know, I really do, because I'm so big on like transformation. And it's like, yeah, I was that dickhead. So yes.
Right. It's all part of the story.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. If you are a coach looking to do more for your clients than just workouts, give Coach Catalyst a test drive. Try it for 14 days. Jump on call with your personal strategy coach, Ashley, and see how easy technology can be, all for free. Tell them Trevor sent you. Until next time, keep changing lives.